One of the quintessential differences between a child and an adult is that the child can't take care of themselves, but an adult, not only can they take care of themselves, but they can take care of others. If you want to raise an independent, confident, good decision maker, consider adopting a dog to give your son or daughter a huge leg up in developing their ability to care for others. And that's just one of the amazing benefits of having a family dog. As always, please subscribe, and if you like what you hear, please share it with others. I'd really appreciate it. Now, my son's first exposure to dogs was the minute he was brought into the house after leaving the hospital following his birth. Just a newborn baby. My dogs had already been exposed to him. My wife had given me my son's first onesie to bring home, let the dog sniff it. I brought home several items of his clothing to let our dogs get familiar with his scent before my wife and son came home from the hospital. A pair of socks, small blanket he was swaddled in, one of those tiny little cloth hats babies wear to keep them warm, all were covered in his scent. And that allowed our dogs to become familiar with him in the way that dogs do, through their noses. Those items were left in the dogs' beds and remained there so that they could get used to his smell. Dogs learn a great deal about the world around them through their noses. Bailey and Scratchy, our two dogs at the time, they were his older sisters, and they needed to know who he was before he came into our home. The first time we placed our baby son in his rocker on the floor, our dogs gave him a thorough sniffing. Of course, they were very interested in this new thing in the house. From a dog's perspective, the baby was a fantastic source of new smells. And because we had brought home items of his for them to sniff ahead of time, they were already familiar with him. Many dogs have an instinctive, protective attitude towards the young. Doesn't matter whether that's a puppy or a human baby. Our two dogs immediately accepted the new baby as a part of their pack and a member that they were partially responsible for. Now, I'm going to go into a brief description of some of the benefits to a young child of having a dog in the house. I encourage you to research the benefits to babies, children, and teenagers of having a dog as part of the family. Invest some of your time, and you'll see just how valuable having a dog can be for your son or daughter. Babies with a dog in the house are less likely to have respiratory illnesses. It's true. There are numerous studies that show that having a dog in the house during the first year of your baby's life can help reduce the likelihood your baby will get a respiratory illness. That's a pretty good benefit. Babies with dogs in the house develop more robust immune systems. This is straight from a Google search, and I quote, "Babies who live with dogs in their first year of life may be 13% less likely to develop asthma and 30% less likely to get colds, ear infections, and coughs. They may also have higher levels of immune system chemicals and be 90% less likely to develop food allergies." Some studies show that kids growing up in a house with a dog are generally better behaved. Again, straight from Google, quote, "Children who play with their dogs regularly, like on walks, are 36% less likely to have poor social and emotional development. Children who play with their dog 3 or more times a week are 74% more likely to engage in mindful behaviors. Children from dog-owning households are also 34% more likely to engage in pro-social, positive behaviors than children who don't have dogs. Growing up with a dog in the house often leads to kids having a more active lifestyle. Kids who have dogs generally are much more physically active than kids that don't have a dog in the house. And get this, some studies have shown that girls disproportionately benefit physically when there is a dog that lives in the home compared to boys. Girls got an even bigger boost in physical activity than the boys did from having a dog. A dog provides a stable, constant, positive companion for a child. Dogs provide a unique form of emotional support to the kids in the household. The unconditional love and companionship that a dog provides can be hugely beneficial to your child, especially on those days when things at school did not go their way, when they're feeling lonely, down, or upset. Dogs are great listeners. Kids with a dog are more likely to learn about responsibility at an early age. Your child should be encouraged to help feed your pup, make sure the water bowl is always filled, take them on daily walks, or play with them. Evenings with a dog can be awesome. My family always liked to inspect our dogs when they were tired at the end of the day. A dog laying down in the living room is a great time to inspect their ears, their feet, see if they have any hot spots or sores. A good once-over is comforting for your dog and an important responsibility for a dog owner. Have your child help with nightly inspections. It's fun. It's meaningful to everyone involved. Lastly, dogs can be a huge help getting your child to learn to read and after helping them read more often. Look up some videos of kids reading to dogs. It'll make you cry, some of them. For many kids, it makes a profound difference in their life and helps them establish a daily habit of reading. Now, I could expand every one of these examples of the benefits of owning a dog for your kids. Actually, I could add numerous additional benefits, but I'm hoping you get my point. Moms and dads, take some time, do some research yourself. Most people don't consider the developmental benefits to your son or daughter of owning a dog, but they're real and substantial. It shouldn't matter if you grew up with a dog. I didn't. It really shouldn't matter if you like dogs or not. I was ambivalent. My wife and I got our first dog long before our son was born. I agreed to it because she wanted a dog. I didn't. But that's part of the compromising that takes place in every marriage. In the long run, it was just another example of my wife knowing better than me. For you, you're a parent now, or soon will be. Everything you can reasonably do to benefit your child should be considered. Now, I'll be the first to say, some breeds are definitely more kid-friendly than others. A lab or a golden retriever is a great choice. Again, research dog breeds. First, figure out what size would be best for your household. From there, try and determine what breed will be best. Take your time to find the right dog for your home. Now, I always recommend visiting your local animal shelter and adopting. Now, here's an important pro tip. Don't bring your very young child to the Humane Society or wherever you go to adopt a dog. Don't. After taking the time to figure out the size and the breed, you don't want your little one to fall in love with a Great Dane that has no place in your home. Your young child will likely fall in love with a dog you don't want. Keep them at home when you go to the pound. And trust me, whatever dog you bring home, they'll probably fall in love with. Now, this is obviously irrelevant if you're getting your family pup when your child is still a baby or not even born yet. Ultimately, that's the ideal time to get your pup. Remember, there are so many health benefits to your baby of having a dog in the house that I strongly recommend you get your pup before baby ever comes home from the hospital. One last pro tip, I have never adopted a puppy. Puppies are a pain. They're a mess and a whole lot of work. Plus, puppies are usually adopted first. So my wife and I have always adopted a 2 or 3 year old pup. That's still a pup, just not a puppy. And of course, the final thing your son or daughter will learn when they have a dog is that all things eventually die. If you got your pup when your child was 1 or 2, when your child reached the age of 12 or 14 years old, somewhere in there, they have to deal with the death of their best furry friend. Your child will have seen their pup age over those years. They'll see him start to slow down and grow old. It's not pleasant, but it's a reality of life. Raising an independent, confident, good decision maker is about preparing your son or daughter for the real world, to deal with real world issues. That means the good, the bad, and the ugly. The very first death my son had to deal with was the family dog. Eventually, when his grandfather passed, it was upsetting, but he had gone through it to some degree already, and that helped. Just like we had done with the dog, we didn't talk so much about the loss of his grandfather, but more about the great memories and joy he had gotten from the relationship, from knowing him and spending all that time together. The passing of his first two pups was a big step in our young son's life in dealing with adult issues. Bailey and Scratchy had always been there. They were such a huge part of his early years and then his elementary school years. Their death, which was inevitable, gave my wife and I an opportunity to introduce one of the most traumatic aspects of adult life to our young son. We've had other dogs in our home since Bailey and Scratchy, but that first pair, we always had two dogs in our house. That first pair, they were a big part of his early childhood. He learned so much from those pups. They benefited him in so many ways. Yeah, sometimes I'm shocked when I see my son and how thoughtful and caring he can be to others. Whenever I see that, I'm reminded of how he was with our dogs. I believe he developed those traits over the years because of how he helped take care of our dogs. Raising your child to be an ICD adult is about preparing them for life as an adult and preparing them in such a way that they will be able to handle in a healthy way the many challenging aspects of being an adult. When I hear the term adulting, it sends a shiver down my spine. To me, it implies that an actual adult can turn on or off their adult status when they're an adult. That's ridiculous. You can't go back to being a child when you're an adult. Adults can behave childishly at times, but their adult status is permanent. It doesn't vacillate. You can't be a child one day, adult the next. Help your son or daughter to become an ICD adult by giving them the huge advantage in their life of learning to care for others. A young child can't really care for an adult. They can be helpful and caring, but they can't take care of an adult. But they can take care of a dog. That's really what it means to be a fully realized adult. It's not about taking care of yourself. It's about taking care of others. Thanks for listening.